So, Potato, when I say the word Tevis, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
The first thing that comes to my mind when someone says the word Tevis is Drew Barner and Wendell Robie. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
Yeah. Well, Wendell, you knew him.
Oh, of course.
And you knew Drew as well.
Yeah.
And what did you think of Wendell? What was your impression of him?
I admired him very much. I admired him because of his directness, and he always got to the point. Mm-hmm. He never beat around the bush. He said what was on his mind, and yet he never really had. There's only one person I can ever remember him not liking. One person?
Yeah. That's pretty good for all the people he knew, huh?
And that person's dead now, so it doesn't matter.
You know, before we go any further in the interview, I have to ask, because I'm sure you've been asked so many times. You've been all over the world riding horses and in your business life and as well. But where, or I should rephrase it, how do you get your mustache to so thick and full like that?
CVS has good mustache wax.
So you use mustache wax on it?
Yeah, and not often. And now that I've lost my thumb, it's more difficult. I did that in February of this year. So I have to use this hand both ways, see.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes I just let it droop until I'm eating, then I go like this. It reminds me of someone years ago who was always doing this to his mustache in a very high level person. Someone said, "Why are you always telling me to be quiet?" He says, "I'm not. I'm brushing the whiskers out of my lips."
So I guess the second question that you're asked all the time is, how did you get the name Potato?
God, you just really disappointed me. I thought that was the first question.
No, I'm just impressed with
I've never had that mustache question hardly. Well, quite frankly, my older brother Cabbage, I believe, picked it out.
Okay.
He says it was Onion, but Onion wasn't home when I was born, so it had to be Cabbage.
Okay.
Well, it didn't have to be him, but that's what I'm told.
Yeah.
And it's just a middle name. All the boys are named vegetables for middle names, and the girls are named flowers. My sister Rose got off the easiest. And my mother didn't like all that stuff, but my father was a Michigan State boxing pro, and he got his way.
Right.
What are you going to do? And a couple of times, my real name is Robert F. Potato Richardson, and I've tried to get rid of that and use Bob, but you know how many Bobs there are? There's a lot of Bobs.
I don't know anybody else named Potato, so that's pretty original.
Neither do I.
Yeah, yeah. So, you growing up with the name Potato. Now, where did you grow up? Where was? I
was born in Michigan.
Michigan.
North of Detroit a ways, but I came to California in 1959. I actually left Michigan following the 59ers. You know, 1959 was when Alaska became a state. And a lot of people from Michigan, there was a caravan of them going to Alaska for the new frontier. I sold my 49 Ford and packed up in a suitcase and took off hitchhiking to catch them. I got to Chicago and realized it was a lot warmer in California.
Yeah.
And I came out here, and that was August of 1959. Yeah, in Long Beach. And I finished my schooling in Long Beach, in that area. And I moved to Sacramento in 1972.
And that's when you met
Paige Harper.
Paige Harper. And Paige Harper was your big influence when it came to endurance riding and horses.
Yeah.
Did you have horse experience when you were in Michigan? When you grew up?
So
you had some background.
I lived on a B-Bar M ranch, and we had about 125 horses.
Oh my gosh.
It was a dude string from Detroit, a dude ranch. And I was just a kid. And $10 a week in room and board was fun.
Yeah.
A fun life.
Did you have a love for horses even as a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you call it love. I just liked what they did. I liked riding them. I liked being around them, and it was fascinating.
So tell me about Page, because he was a big influence on you as well as a lot of other people in the endurance world. He was so excited about this new sport and the Tevis, and he liked sharing it.
Yeah.
I knew that about him. We have Page Harper Springs, a spring named after him. here in
Drew
North
Barner and
Canyon.
I put that together.
And well deserved. His name will always be remembered especially by people that remember him.
I knew him, yeah.
And so tell me about Page.
Well, Page was a peculiar guy for sure. When I found out I was looking for a place to rent in Sacramento, and he had a 10-unit apartment complex, which were 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and a 1-car garage, unfurnished for $140 a month. And they had 10 apartments, and he had a 10-stall barn. And so for $25 more, you could keep your horse there. And it was room and board. He cleaned the stalls. He took care of them. And that was great.
Yeah.
It was called the Ranch Apartments. And where he lived, it was right across Auburn Boulevard from Ansel Hoffman Park. So we could saddle up, cross Auburn Boulevard, under the Interstate 80, and over to the Horseman's Park and around the golf course and train. And that was a good evening ride we'd do.
Yeah.
So one day I saw this Tevis logo on the back of his pickup, and then I saw his buckle. And I said, "What's that all about?" And he says, "Oh, that's the Tevis." And he told me about it. And he says, "You ought to go to the board meeting with me. I'm going to a board meeting in Auburn." And I went up there and I met Wendell Robie and Drew Barner and the other bunch. And next thing I knew, I was on the board, and I was spending a lot of time up there. As a matter of fact, I spent so much time at the Hart Federal that Drew Barner, I'd get my mail delivered there. And Drew would, if I wrote up some letters and stuff, she would type them up for me. I mean, I loved that woman like my own mother.
Yeah.
She was, in my opinion, one of the finest women on the face of the earth, next to my mother.
Yeah.
And her desk was right there next to Wendell's. And, they were always there and always open, always friendly. It was really a nice environment to go up there.
So earlier, before we got the cameras rolling, you talked about your first 100-mile experience wasn't the Tevis, it was the Virginia City. And so how did you even go about, starting? Was that your first endurance ride, or had you done a 50 prior to that?
Paige helped me buy this Appaloosa from a guy named Ratsy Monero. And Ratsy was famous for horse trading and so forth. And you may remember he was married to Dawn, she's still around. Anyway, it only lasted a couple of days. But anyway, I bought this Appaloosa from him, went out to his barn, I got on it, it bucked me off. And he whacked it a couple of times and said, "Try that again." I got back on it, didn't buck anymore.
All right, so you fixed him.
Yeah, so I bought it. And that was my first endurance horse, which I rode on Tevis.
Okay.
And he was really good going downhill, but he could detect an upgrade better than a civil engineer, and he wouldn't go uphill. And I practically had to take his shoes off and carry him from the suspension bridge all the way to Devil's Thumb. When I got to Devil's Thumb, I was worn out, and he was not recovering. And when the vet said to me, "You're pulled," I was really happy.
You were relieved. That was, I could go home.
Yeah. So then what I did, I thought, well, he just needs more conditioning. So I rode him more. And I rode a lot with Page Harper. We'd ride out to Robie Point, ride down the river and back. That was a normal ride for us. And I just rode more often and harder. And then I went and entered the Virginia City 100. And when we got to the 102 Ranch, when you come out of there, there's those Clark Mountains, there's 5 of them.
Yep.
And he looked up at those, and we were in top 10 at the 102 Ranch, the vet stop at Nick Mansfield's. He looked up at the top of those hills and he says, "I ain't going up there." And 10 feet at a time. I'd get to the top of the first one, and then shoom, he'd come down like a bullet. And then he'd push him up the second one, down like a bullet. And about the fifth one, we finally got up there. At that one time, I was so fatigued from taking him 10 feet at a time. I was off leading most of the time. I sat down on a rock, and the horse was there, and all of a sudden I heard this rattlesnake, and I looked, and there was a rattlesnake right there next to us. And I said to the rattlesnake, bite the horse. I had Paige Harper's McClellan saddle on him.
Oh, yeah.
I figured I could take the saddle off and let the horse go over the edge. I didn't care. But then Joel Giroux came along, and he was the second Appaloosa in the ride. And together we got on, now it's downhill, we got to the bottom of the hill, and there was Roe Bailey with a bottle of Four Roses. And the rest of the ride was fun. But we finished 15 minutes before the 24-hour cutoff. But when we left the vet stop, I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but when we left the vet stop at Washoe Lake, by that time that Four Roses were replaced by a few other things. Mm-hmm. And I had this Boda bag, and Todd Nelson had a bottle of Annie Green Beans, some cheap white wine. That's all I could find. So I poured in my Boda bag, and I got on my horse, and just for the heck of it, I got him backwards.
Oh, no.
And I said to the vets, where's my horse's head? You know? And then Joel grabbed my reins, and I got rid of that bottle that was glass and had a Boda bag, and he led me out of the vet check. So then when we got close to the finish line, at the top of SOB Hill and all that, just about before the finish line, I turned around the saddle again, and he led me in. And the horse wouldn't go. He was tired. It was 23 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. And he says, kick him, Potato, kick him. He won't go. So I started kicking him, and he started bucking. He says, you're kicking too hard. I crossed the finish line, and Roe handed me another bottle of Four Roses, and that was it. We had a good ride. That was my first 100-mile ride, and Joel and I both finished 15 minutes to spare. And that was 1972. Amazing. And I never rode a Virginia City ride again.
That was it. Yeah. Well, you experienced it frontwards and backwards.
So then I took that Appaloosa to the Cow Mountain ride. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing. He could detect an upgrade better than a civil engineer. I'm serious. I went over to the side of the bank and pulled a root from it. I thought was something to beat him with, you know, and the whole tree came down. And with the root attached to it, I got on the horse, he could hear that thing coming at him. Shh, bam! And he'd go 10 feet at a time. And some woman come by and she said, oh my God, he's killing his horse, you know. We finished, got a completion, and I'll never ride that horse again.
Yeah. Is that when you transitioned to Arabs?
I got rid of him and I bought Cailana.
Cailana. And we have to talk about Cailana.
Yeah.
Because Cailana is
the foundation.
The foundation of your program. And, you know, that mare, she was a special horse.
Yeah. Roe Bailey found her for me.
She found her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone over in Redwood City. Mm-hmm. And I bought her and a 9N Ford tractor combined. I think I was $500 down and $300 a month or something like that. Yeah. And I brought her home, and at that time I was living in Loomis.
Yeah.
I'd moved out of the ranch apartments and found a place in Loomis to live with a friend, a good friend. Mm-hmm. And that's where I had Cailana. And I remember Todd Nelson coming out and looking at her, and he told me he was examining her, and he had his arm up her rear end and doing some fecal work or something, see if she was in full or whatever. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget that, the horse disappeared. And there's Todd with that sleeve on his arm, and the horse is gone. He says, she'll never make an endurance horse. Oh. But he was wrong.
Yeah. What was it about her, do you think, that made her so great?
I think it was, well, her Witez breeding and so forth. She was good breeding. And she just gave, you know. Yeah. And so I rode her on Tevis, 76. No, I take it back. 77 and 78. 78, we were the first ones across the finish line.
Right.
But because of the staggered stops or starts,
Yeah.
I lost by 2 minutes. But she was a great horse. My first Tevis buckle was in 1974 on a horse that belonged to someone else. They asked me if I'd ride it on Tevis. I did. And that's when we still had the last vet stop at that Echo Hills Ranch.
Oh, okay.
Echo Hills. That was the last year we had a vet stop there. That was great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, there's always that horse in somebody's career, you know, that they feel like that made them, you know, and Cailana has to be that horse for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, because, and then you bred Cailana to Bezital.
Yeah.
And, you know, why don't you, you know, and we have to talk about Bezital because, you know, he's technically the only stallion that's won Tevis.
Exactly.
You know, we can
Twice.
talk about Bandos.
Yeah.
But you know, why don't we, you know, and so you obviously knew Ed, the owner, Ed Johnson.
Ed Johnson. I didn't really know him. I saw him around, but I didn't really know him. I knew Kathy, his daughter, of course.
Right.
But I don't know who told me. Probably it was Roll Bailey suggested I breed the Bez. And I can tell you for sure that was an incredible do. To breed him. You know, he won the Tevis twice.
Yeah.
And so I got from that breeding was Fia de Cailana.
Yep.
Fia, which is daughter, Fia de Cailana, Fia of daughter of Cailana. And of course she went on to win in 1998,
Yep.
the Tevis Cup. And her daughter, Philoette's the one who won 2 years ago.
Yep.
And I've still got her daughter too.
Yeah.
So, a daughter of Philoette, yeah.